The silence that screams there exists in modern horror cinema. A figure so profoundly disturbing that his very presence corrupts the air around him. No words escape his painted lips. No explanation justifies his existence. He is Art the Clown, a creature, wearing the skin of entertainment, twisted into something that makes your blood run cold in ways you cannot immediately articulate. When darkness falls and you find yourself alone, when shadows stretch across your bedroom wall and every creak of the house becomes sinister, it is figures like Art that inhabit those spaces between sleep and waking. He is not merely a character in a film. He has become something more, an archetype of pure, distilled malevolence that taps into fears buried deep in our collective unconscious. The most terrifying thing about Art the Clown is not what he does, though his actions are unspeakable. It is what he represents, the complete absence of humanity wearing a human face. When you look into his eyes, you see nothing looking back. No soul, no conscience. Just an infinite void dressed in grease paint and a filthy costume, grinning at you with the promise of unimaginable suffering. Birth of a nightmare art. First emerged from the fevered imagination of filmmaker Damien Leone, crawling into our reality through short films before graduating to features that would cement his place in the horror pantheon. His debut came in 2008's The Ninth Circle, a short film that introduced audiences to something they had never quite seen before. This was no ordinary slasher villain. This was something else entirely, but it was All Hallows Eve in 2013 that truly announced Art's arrival, an anthology film that weaved multiple tales of terror together. Art served as the connecting threader, malevolent presence that linked disparate nightmares into a cohesive vision of hell on earth. Even when he wasn't the central focus, he dominated every frame he occupied. The camera loved him, or perhaps feared him, unable to look away from the grotesque spectacle he embodied. What makes Art's origin story particularly chilling is its deliberate incompleteness. We know almost nothing concrete about where he came from or what he truly is. This absence of backstory is not a flaw in storytelling. It is a weapon. The human mind abhors a vacuum. When presented with something we cannot explain, we fill that emptiness with our own darkest imaginings. And what we imagine is often far more terrifying than any exposition could provide. Horror has always understood this principle. The monster glimpsed in shadows is more frightening than the creature fully revealed. Art the Clown takes this concept and weaponizes it. He offers no tragic past to explain his depravity, no traumatic incident that twisted him into what he has become. He simply is a force of nature, or perhaps something supernatural that exists to cause suffering. The architecture of fear let us examine what makes Art so visually disturbing. His appearance is a masterwork of unsettling design, every element carefully calculated to trigger our primal fears while remaining just recognizable, enough to be truly disturbing. The makeup is stark severe, black and white, that transforms his face into a death mask. Unlike the colorful, exaggerated features of a traditional circus clown, Art's face is a study in minimalism and menace. The black around his eyes creates hollow sockets that seem to go on forever, as if you could fall into them and never find your way back. His nose, pointed and artificial, emphasizes the inhuman quality of his appearance. And that smile, dear God, that smile, stretched across his face in a permanent, toothy grin, it never wavers, never falters. Whether he's miming playful antics or committing acts of unspeakable brutality, this smile is perhaps his most psychologically devastating feature. Smiles are supposed to comfort us, to signal friendliness and safety. From infancy, we're conditioned to respond positively to smiling faces. Art perverts this deep-seated human response, turning it into something that makes us recoil. His smile is a lie written across his face, a promise of joy that delivers only horror. It never changes because it isn't real, it's painted on. A mask that can never slip because it is the face beneath. His costume completes the nightmarish image. A clown suit, yes, but deliberately wrong in every detail. It's ill-fitting, hanging off his gaunt frame in ways that emphasize his otherworldly proportions. The fabric is grimy, stained with substances you don't want to identify. Where a proper clown costume would be bright and cheerful, Art's is dingy and disturbing, as if it's been worn for decades without ever being cleaned. Absorbing every terrible thing he's done, the weaponization of childhood clones occupy a unique space in our cultural consciousness. They are supposed to be funny, harmless entertainers who make children laugh at birthday parties. This association with childhood innocence and joy makes their corruption all the more disturbing. Art the clown represents the ultimate violation of this archetype. There's a specific term for the fear of clowns. It's more common than you might think, and art embodies every reason why this phobia exists. He takes the figure of the clown with its exaggerated features, unpredictable behavior, and hidden true face and amplifies every element that makes people uncomfortable. He is the nightmare beneath the birthday party, the monster hiding behind the red nose and rainbow wig. What makes this particularly insidious is that Art seems aware of what he represents. He plays with the expectations associated with his appearance, miming exaggerated surprise or confusion, performing little pantomimes of innocence before revealing his true nature. This isn't just killing. It's a performance designed to maximize psychological torment. He wants his victims to experience that moment of cognitive dissonance, that instant when the mind tries to reconcile the playful mime with the creature of absolute evil standing before them. Children trust clowns. We teach them to trust clowns, and Art the Clown violates that trust in the most fundamental way possible. He is every child's nightmare made manifest, every parent's worst fear realized. The friendly entertainer who is not friendly at all, who takes joy not in laughter but in suffering. The silence of the damned one, of Art's most distinctive and terrifying characteristics, is his complete silence. He never speaks. Not a word, not a sound, not even a grunt or growl. This silence is not peaceful or serene, it is oppressive, suffocating. Wrong. Human beings are deeply social creatures. We communicate constantly, and when communication breaks down, we become anxious. Silence in social situations makes us uncomfortable because it represents a breakdown in the normal patterns of human interaction. Art's silence is even more disturbing because it's absolute and purposeful. He chooses not to speak, and that choice is a form of violence in itself. His silence creates a void that cannot be filled. Victims cannot plead with him, cannot reason with him, cannot attempt to find common ground or appeal to his humanity. There is no humanity to appeal to. His silence tells you that nothing you say matters, that you are already dead, that your words are meaningless noise that he will never acknowledge. It strips away one of our most fundamental tools for connection and survival, language itself. But silence is not absence. Art's silence is its own form of communication, a language of gestures, expressions, and actions that speaks volumes. He is a master of physical performance, using his body to convey mockery, amusement, curiosity, and murderous intent. His pantomimes are elaborate and expressive, but they all carry the same underlying message. You are nothing but entertainment for him, a toy to be broken, a canvas for his terrible art. This mime-like quality makes him unpredictable in ways that speaking villains never are. We can read intent in someone's voice, parse meaning from their words, predict behavior from their statements. Art gives us none of these cues. His body language shifts instantly from playful to predatory, from curious to cruel, with no warning and no transition. You never know which art you're going to get from one moment to the next, and that uncertainty is paralyzing. The theater of cruelty, the violence in the Terrifier films, is not for the squeamish. It is extreme, graphic, and unflinching in ways that push the boundaries of what even hardcore horror fans can stomach. But this extreme violence serves a purpose beyond simple shock. Value it reveals the true depths of art's depravity. Art doesn't just kill. He creates elaborate scenes of suffering, transforming murder into a twisted form of performance art. There is intelligence in his brutality, a sick creativity that demonstrates he is not merely a mindless beast, but something far worse at thinking. Feeling an entity that has chosen to dedicate its existence to causing pain. His weapon of choice is not a single tool, but an entire arsenal of implements, often mundane objects repurposed for horrific ends. While other horror icons carry signature weapons, Freddy has his glove, Jason his machete, Michael his knife art, approaches each murder as a unique project, requiring the right tool for the job. This variety makes him more unpredictable and somehow more real. He improvises, adapts, uses whatever is at hand to achieve his goals. The infamous hacksaw scene from the first Terrifier film has become legendary in horror circles, not just for its graphic nature, but for what it reveals about art's character. The scene is prolonged, methodical, and detailed in its depiction. Art takes his time. He's not in a hurry. He savors the process. This is not passion or rage, it is the careful, deliberate work of someone who genuinely enjoys what he's doing. What makes this even more disturbing is Art's behavior during these acts. He pauses mid-violence to perform little pantomimes, to interact with his environment, to play with props. He might stop to take a selfie with a mutilated victim, treating mass murder like a tourist attraction. He'll wear a severed scalp as a wig, admiring himself in a mirror. These moments of dark comedy don't relieve the tension. They intensify it by demonstrating just how disconnected from normal human empathy art truly is. The question of motivation: why does art do what he does? This is the question that haunts viewers, and it's a question that has no satisfactory answer. That absence of clear motivation is itself deeply disturbing. We're conditioned by storytelling to expect explanations for behavior, especially extreme behavior. When we encounter a villain, we want to know their backstory, their trauma, their reason for becoming what they are. Horror cinema has given us villains with complex motivations. Freddy Krueger seeking revenge for his murder. Jason Voorhees avenging his mother and his own death. Michael Myers. Well, Michael is complicated, but even he has theories and explanations attached to him. Art offers nothing. No tragic backstory. No revenge plot. No family trauma or abuse or accident that explains his evil. He kills because he wants to. He tortures because it amuses him. That's it. That's all there is. This motiveless malignity is perhaps the most terrifying thing about him. We can understand revenge, even if we don't condone it. We can comprehend rage, even extreme rage, We can wrap our minds around mental illness or supernatural curses or demonic possession. But evil for its own sake, evil as a pure expression of will, that touches something deeper and more primal in our psyches. Art represents the horrifying possibility that some things are simply bad, that evil can exist without reason or purpose, that there doesn't have to be a why behind suffering. He is the randomness and chaos of the universe given form and consciousness. He is the terrible truth that bad things happen to good people for no reason at all, that sometimes there is no meaning to be found in horror, no lesson to be learned, no way to protect yourself. This lack of motive makes him impossible to predict or control. With other villains, if you understand their motivation, you have some chance of survival. Don't fall asleep and Freddy can't get you. Stay away from Camp Crystal Lake, and Jason is someone else's problem. But art, there's no safe space, no guaranteed protection, no rule you can follow to ensure your survival. He strikes randomly, choosing victims on a whim, killing for no reason other than that he can. The supernatural question as the Terrifier franchise has evolved, particularly with the second film. Hints of something supernatural have crept into Art's story. He can be killed brutally, definitively killed, and yet he returns. Something brings him back, resurrects him, refuses to let him stay dead. This supernatural element transforms Art from a terrifying human monster into something even more frightening, an unkillable force of evil, possibly demonic in nature. The introduction of the little pale girl character in Terrifier 2 adds another layer of mystery. This spectral child seems to be Art's companion, possibly his master. Perhaps a manifestation of whatever dark power animates him. The little pale girl appears only to Art and his intended victims, existing on some plane between life and death. Her relationship with Art suggests he is not a lone operator, but part of something larger and more ancient. She seems to guide him, to appear when he needs her, to share in his purpose. Is she the source of his power? Is she a demon using him as a vessel? Is she his true form, and Art merely the mask she wears to interact with the physical world? Terrifier 2 expands this mythology further, introducing elements of prophecy and cosmic conflict. Art is positioned not just as a serial killer, but as an agent of darkness in a larger metaphysical battle. This elevates the stakes beyond individual survival to questions of good versus evil on a universal scale. But even these supernatural elements are deliberately ambiguous. The films drop hints, suggest possibilities, but never provide definitive answers. Is Art possessed by a demon? Is he himself a demon in a human-like form? Is he a cursed individual, damned to eternal existence as a harbinger of death? Or is he something else entirely? Something that doesn't fit into our comfortable categories of natural and supernatural, human and monster. This ambiguity is crucial to Art's effectiveness as a horror icon. The moment we fully understand him, he loses some of his power to terrify. The moment we can categorize him, fit him into a box, explain him away with comfortable theories, he becomes less threatening. The films wisely refuse to do this, keeping Art shrouded in mystery even as they reveal tantalizing glimpses of what might lie beneath the makeup. The performance of evil. Much of Art's effectiveness comes from the performance by David Howard Thornton, who brought the character to life in the feature films. Thornton's background in physical comedy and mime work proves invaluable in creating a character who never speaks but remains deeply expressive. Thornton brings a strange, unsettling grace to Art's movements. He can be balletic one moment, flowing from pose to pose with the elegance of a dancer, then explode into violence so sudden and savage it's shocking. This physicality makes art feel real in ways that many horror villains don't. He inhabits space believably, moves through it with purpose and precision. The physical comedy background is particularly important because it allows Thornton to inject moments of dark humor into Art's actions. He can mime confusion, surprise, joy, disappointment, all the emotions of a normal person, but twisted and wrong. These moments of levity don't relieve tension. They heighten it by emphasizing how alien art is. He's playing at being human, mimicking human behavior, but it's all a mockery, a joke at our expense. Thornton's art can go from trying on silly sunglasses in a costume shop to brutal murder in seconds. This tonal whiplash is psychologically devastating for the audience. We can never relax, never feel safe, because we never know which version of art we're about to see. Will he be playful, curious, amused, or will he suddenly turn violent without warning or reason? This unpredictability in performance mirrors the character's essential nature. Art is chaos, and chaos cannot be predicted or controlled. Every scene he's in crackles with tension because anything could happen at any moment. Thornton's performance makes Art feel genuinely dangerous in ways that many horror villains don't. You believe he might do anything, to anyone, at any time. Breaking the fourth wall, one of Art's most unsettling tricks is his awareness of the audience. He doesn't just terrorize characters within the film. He reaches through the screen to make viewers feel unsafe. He'll look directly into the camera, making eye contact with you, the person watching. He'll wave. He'll smile that awful smile directly at you. This fourth wall breaking transforms the viewing experience from passive observation to active participation. You are no longer safely outside the narrative, watching events unfold from a distance. Art has acknowledged you. He knows you're there. He's performing for you. This technique taps into a deep psychological unease. When a character in a film acknowledges the camera, it violates the invisible contract between audience and narrative. We're supposed to be invisible, undetectable, safe in our role as observers. Art refuses to honor this contract. He makes you complicit in what's happening, whether you want to be or not. You're not just watching him kill. You're his audience, and he knows it, and he enjoys your discomfort. These moments blur the line between fiction and reality in disturbing ways. When Art looks at the camera for just a moment, the protective barrier between the world of the film and your world dissolves. He could be looking at you. He could be in your house. He could be standing behind you right now. The film becomes less safe, less contained, more capable of following you home. The legacy of Fear Art the Clown has achieved something remarkable. In modern horror, he has become genuinely iconic. In an era where horror franchises struggle to create new villains with staying power, where everything feels derivative or predictable, Art stands out as something fresh and terrifying. Part of his appeal is the right word for something so disturbing is that he represents a return to pure horror. There's no tragic sympathy for Art, no attempt to make him relatable or understandable. He is not an anti-hero. He is not misunderstood. He is evil, plain, and simple, and the films make no apologies for this. In our modern age, where horror films often try to explain their monsters, to give them depth and motivation and backstory, Art is refreshingly, or perhaps terrifyingly simple. He is bad because he is bad. He kills because he kills. There is no deeper meaning, no social commentary hidden in his murders, no metaphor to decode. He is horror stripped to its essential components: fear, suffering, and death. This purity of purpose has resonated with horror fans who were hungry for something that scared them without hand-holding or explanation. Art doesn't care if you understand him. He doesn't need your empathy or your pity. He doesn't want your money or your soul or your revenge. He just wants to hurt you, slowly and creatively, while smiling that terrible smile. The cultural impact art has transcended his films to become a cultural phenomenon. He appears in fan art, cosplay, and discussions throughout the horror community. People dress as him for Halloween, which is ironic given that he represents everything Halloween should protect us from the monster in disguise. The danger hiding behind the mask. This popularity speaks to something in our collective unconscious. We are drawn to what frightens us, seeking out fear in controlled environments where we can experience the thrill without the actual danger. Art provides that thrill in abundance. He is scary enough to make us uncomfortable, extreme enough to push boundaries, but contained safely within the frame of a movie screen. Or is he contained? Part of art's effectiveness is how he seems to leak out of his films, haunting viewers long after the credits roll. People report nightmares about him, an inability to look at clowns the same way, a heightened sense of unease when alone in the dark. He has become a modern bogeyman, a figure that embodies our contemporary fears about violence, chaos, and the breakdown of social order. The future of horror. What does Art the Clown tell us about where horror is going? His success suggests that audiences still crave genuine scares, experiences that push them out of their comfort zones and force them to confront real fear. In an age of sanitized PG-13 horror designed to appeal to the widest possible audience, Art is decidedly R-rated, unapologetic in his extremity. This doesn't mean all horror needs to be as extreme as Terrifier to be effective. But Art's popularity demonstrates that there's an appetite for horror that doesn't pull its punches, that commits fully to being disturbing and uncomfortable. His success has likely encouraged other filmmakers to take similar risks, to trust that audiences can handle genuine horror when it's executed. Art also represents a return to practical effects and physical performance in an era dominated by CGI, while computer imagery has its place. There's something undeniably powerful about practical effects and a real actor in makeup creating horror on screen. You can see the weight and reality of Art in every frame. He exists in the same physical space as the other actors, casts shadows, interacts with real objects. This tangibility makes him more believable, and therefore more frightening. Conclusion: the smile that never fades in the end. Art the Clown endures because he is everything a horror icon should be: visually distinctive, psychologically disturbing, genuinely frightening, and mysterious enough to fuel endless speculation and discussion. He has no redemptive qualities, no hidden depths of humanity, no tragic past to excuse his present. He is simply, purely, absolutely evil. And that smile, that horrible painted-on smile, never wavers. It's there when he's ripping people apart, there when he's playing innocent, there when he's staring directly into the camera and therefore directly at you. That smile promises that he's having fun, that he enjoys every terrible thing he does, that he will never stop, because why would he? This is what he loves. Art the Clown is the nightmare that doesn't end when you wake up. He's the figure standing in your peripheral vision, just outside the light. He's the laughter you hear in an empty house, the shadow that moves when it shouldn't, the smile in the darkness that tells you something is very, very wrong. He is motiveless malignity given form and purpose. He is chaos wearing a costume. He is the void between stars, the silence in an empty room, the moment before the blade falls. He is everything terrible about existence distilled into one figure in greasepaint and a filthy costume, and he's still out there, in the darkness, smiling at you, always smiling.